Welcome to the Agency Insider Show, where we decode the strategies and stories behind successful agencies. Today, I'm thrilled to host Gareth Hoyle, Managing Director of Marketing Signals, a performance-driven SEO and digital marketing agency with nearly 2 decades of expertise. Gareth's journey spans scaling agencies, pioneering link-building techniques, and most recently, advocating for work-life balance with innovations like 4-day work week. Yes, that is correct. We'll talk about SEO, digital PR, time management, and of course, how agencies can scale while delivering results. Gareth, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Gareth, you started with manual link building and then built Marketing Signals into a full service agency. What was the journey like?
Yeah, varied. Certainly wasn't smooth. It's like very, very rocky on the way up. I started working in SEO sometime around 2007, 2008. And I was working with small UK businesses. And I found it quite frustrating, to be honest, because the customers didn't understand what we were doing, why we were doing it. It was boring me. So whilst I was at university, I worked for General Electric, and I was the middleman between the USA and TCS, based in India. So as my SEO business was growing, I found that I was procuring more outsourced services from South Asia. Calling on my knowledge of how outsourcing worked and having seen the margins, dare I say, that TCS GE were making off TCS, I decided that I would much rather supply link building services to UK agencies. So I traveled to India. I met lots and lots of people. Some businesses good, many businesses bad. And I decided to create my own link building agency in partnership with a company based in Chandigarh in the Punjab. And that was around 2008, maybe. And we ran that business till probably 2012 when Penguin hit. And then we had maybe 12 more months of link removal work. But then we transitioned into Marketing Signals because a lot of the agencies weren't outsourcing as much of their link building because of the potential risk that came from getting the links wrong. So we decided we will start to manage our own client base.
Okay. And I mean, of course, SEO has changed significantly, and I know Penguin, everybody's approach changed, but how has your approach evolved over the years, specifically after Penguin?
Yeah, I mean, the pre-Penguin, it was all very deliberate. It was all social. But I mean, when I say these things out loud now, 15 years later, it just seems crazy. Right. But like the article submission sites and these website directories where it's just links and links and links, but it worked. It worked amazingly well. Like that's why we were selling it. We wouldn't have sold it if we didn't agree that it works. Whereas now at our peak, I think we had almost 300 staff, and we were working on hundreds of websites every month. Whereas now we have around 25, 27 staff, and we have around 20 customers. So we actually have to market our customers' businesses now. Pre-Penguin, it was just a process, an SOP you could write. We could just take people off the street, so to speak, give them 1-2 weeks training on how we want stuff done. Then it's copy, paste, 8 hours a day. So right. Whereas now, we have to speak to journalists, we have to speak to influencers, we have to speak to development teams, we have to speak to copywriters internally and externally. Like we actually have to understand the client's business, and that tethers scale, but also makes you a better marketeer. I actually prefer it now than, I think my margins were better in the old days, but I actually prefer my job now. Actually, I really enjoy what I do. Whereas previously it was like being a factory owner, I guess, whereas now I'm a marketeer.
You're making me feel guilty because I was part of the same race.
Well, you know what, we everybody does what they need to do to clothe their family and feed their family and build the house. But
Right.
this is what the process was of SEO a long time ago. I mean, we're going back at least 13. Well, it was April the 21st, 2012 is when Penguin update came out.
Right.
So I mean, we're almost 13 years ago. Like I can almost not even remember these days, because what we do now is actually marketing. Like and I know we'll probably touch on this later on, but I literally don't believe that we make content for SEO anymore. We make content for marketing. Like, it can be shared on social, it can be ranking on Google, it can go into email newsletters. Like, it shouldn't just be for one single track, really. But I'm sure we'll go into more depth on that.
Yes. Now, just a very quick question. So, do you make more money now, or were you making more money then?
I mean, I'm not hungry, so we're doing okay now. But I think realistically, we were probably making more money then, because we were literally just taking offshore labor and reselling it in the UK. So we could have like 5 or 6 Western staff and 200, 300 Eastern, for argument's sake, staff. Whereas now we have 20 Western staff and a handful of VAs in the Philippines, actually. So it's more enjoyable now, though, and we have a different client profile. We work with a lot bigger brands now, whereas previously, I mean, wow, we used to have a website where the packages were £149 per month, £500 per month. Now our minimum client engagement is around £5,000 per month. So it's very different the way that we actually operate as a business. So I feel like, although I can say that we made more money in the old days, if we term it that, I feel like it's almost comparing an apple to an orange, because it's very different way of working these days.
Right. Now, what do you think agencies need to do to stay competitive in SEO?
Yeah, so one thing that's been a constant in SEO, whether we're talking 2008 or we're talking 2028, is testing. Like, if you can't test on your customer sites, because that is too risky for their business.
Right.
You need to have your own domains that you're testing techniques on, or you're testing content formats on. I think to succeed these days, you really do need to understand your client's business, like the sectors that they're working in, even down to the level of, if you're doing digital PR for these people, what is their trade press? Who are the influencers within their micro niche? Like, you really do need to have a understanding of the whole competitive landscape, rather than just blindly writing 500 words, delivering 10 links. Like, what is the context of the search results page? Is it informational? Is it commercial? Like, if there's no point, well, it's very difficult to rank a commercial page for a best informational query. So I think, it's really getting under the skin of your customer's business, of their landscape, and communicating this to them. Like, if the customer feels, like, we often say that we go into battle with our customers, and would you want to go into battle with somebody that doesn't have a map? Probably not. So that's how we see it anyway.
Okay. Now, AI and automation are, of course, transforming the industry almost every day. How do you see their roles in SEO and link building?
Yeah, I mean, I embrace AI. I can't deny it. I think that, like all tools, there needs to be a competent operator that is going to get the most out of the tool. I think that gone are the days where you can just blindly take ChatGPT output, paste into WordPress, and collect your golden beans. But we also see it as using AI to crunch data modeling and have a look at which sites have we used previously for a client. Does that correlate to an increase in visibility? So we can start to try and gauge the effectiveness of the link building that we're doing. You could build 20 links, but 17 of them may be not actually adding any value. How do you know that? So by using sort of some custom LLMs that we've built internally to our toolkit, we can start to try, the keyword here is try and understand which links are being effective for our clients' visibility. We still use ChatGPT to structure content. So I'm quite happy to open ChatGPT or Gemini. There's obviously many windows that we can use these days, and ask it to structure an article for me. I was with a customer and friend in California last month, and we were looking at the deep research stuff. So Gemini Pro, deep research, you can give it a few prompts, it'll go away, it will analyze 20 articles, it will give you an argument for and against it. Then you can put this into Notebook LM and generate a podcast of 2 AI characters discussing the article that AI created. I mean, this is mind-blowing. Like, I can only imagine what we will be discussing next year, like next month, never mind
True.
3 or 5 years in the future, when my children ask me, or I ask my children, what do you want to do when you finished education? Their job doesn't even exist yet.
Right.
It's crazy. So I think more than anything, we're just keeping an open mind and embracing the change as it punches us in the face on a daily basis, I suppose.
Right. Now on our agency part, many agencies struggle to scale without losing quality. Now, what's your advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't easy. We often have a discussion internally that if we had to double the size of our team, I think it would take us a long time, because we maintain the quality of our output through the staffing and the training and the recruitment process. I think that having solid SOPs that you believe in and that are tried and tested. So that way, at least as you get more people coming into your agency, you at least have a training program that they can go through. And especially in the first 3 months of a new employee joining us, we are constantly testing them to make sure that they can work in our way of working, so to our culture. So, I mean, we'll talk about the 4-day week and fully remote shortly, but not everybody can do that. And I think if you're good at your job, you're going to win more work. Like that, I didn't plan to have 30 staff. I was happy at 15, but because we keep doing a good job, we keep getting referrals, we keep growing. And what we've actually done is invested in a layer of management that doesn't work on SEO, that actually just works on business operations. So making sure that everybody has personal development plans, making sure that the development plan goals match with the business potential needs. Again, we don't know what we're going to need. Like 3 years ago, I wasn't looking for prompt engineers. Now, if somebody doesn't use AI to make themselves more efficient, they probably won't fit in my business. Right. So I think you have to try and mold the person into the way of working that you like without tethering their creativity, because we are brain workers, we're knowledge workers. So right. we're not drones that are just going to go ABC. but there does need to be an SOP in place to maintain that quality output that you need.
Right. Now, I completely agree, but the challenge is when the person has worked too much manually, it's getting hard for a person who is experienced to move to AI, because their mindset is still gets defaulted to the old system.
Yeah, and we see it happen. And I mean, luckily in SEO, a lot of us, once we get to leadership level, we've been doing it for a few years, you already have a basic mindset of change or die, because we've all lost sites to updates. We've all been demoralized when Google has decided it no longer likes us. So I think that if you, especially at a leadership level of a progressive agency, I'm sure there are bad leaders or bad managers in certain agencies. In my agency, the leadership team are all almost coming to me saying, oh my God, last night I was watching this YouTube video and I saw this. Because we have to embrace the change that's coming, or you'll be left behind. Like even now in all of our new business proposals, we spend 20% of the time talking about AI overviews. Like we used to spend the time talking about featured snippets and position zero. Now it's all AI overviews. So I think if you're, to the listeners that are working client side, if your agency isn't talking about the future, if they're talking 5 years in the future, that's a red flag. If they're not talking about the future, that's also a red flag. They should at least have, like, this is what is happening now. This is how we're going to respond now. And then, yeah, if they can't do that, then their skill set will just die out.
Right. Now, let's talk a little bit about link building and digital PR. You have called link building a bullshit-free zone. And what's your framework for cutting through the noise in 2025?
Yeah, well, I mean, link building for as long as I've been link building, the world is full of chances. Like everybody has the magic dust that they can sprinkle on your SEO campaign that will drive you to number one. For me, link building is just doing real world business stuff that attracts coverage. So for many, many years, magazines would publish surveys that businesses have had conducted, and they would put it in the print magazine, and then you would buy it from the newsstand, and you would read it, and you would be like, oh, sharing it across a coffee table. Digital PR is just the same, but with links. Like, we're producing surveys that our customers' client base will be interested to read. And rather than trying to get column inches, we're trying to get page views. Like, that is literally the only difference between the traditional way and the digital way. In terms of working with bloggers and influencers, because we still do a lot of manual outreach, the site should be owned by a real person. The site should have all the EEAT signals that Google is telling us to look for. It should be ranking. So we have many metrics in SEO: DA, DR, TF, CF. These are all made up by third parties. The best metric that we like to look at is site traffic. So if the site is ranking on Google, and we can use SEMrush, we can use Ahrefs to see what the site is ranking for. We can also pull that via API into our backend system, so we're not constantly opening more tabs. If Google is rewarding that site with traffic, brilliant. If I can produce some content for my client and put it on a site that then becomes a reference point for AI overviews, perfect. It's almost like that site is giving my client a third-party validation in the eyes of Google and in the eyes of the user, most importantly. So we could be working with a makeup brand and we're going to look at the best eyebrow scissors. I don't wear makeup, but my team will know more about the searches than me. But if we can't get this, if the site that we're working with isn't getting traffic already from things about beauty, then why would we really want to be working with it? Because otherwise, I'm not suggesting that these techniques don't work, but I think they just come with bigger risk. And as you start to work with bigger brands, you've got to spend a lot more time managing the risk within your link building. And a lot of the time, I mean, we're lucky that because we work with larger brands, from a digital PR perspective, the journalists want to feature the companies we're working with because they have credibility.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to them and saying, hi, I'm Gareth from Gareth's Auto Sales. Like, can you feature me in your tier one media? We might be approaching them. We're a multinational car manufacturer. Would you like my opinion? And it does make it easier. I must admit, like, I think I do sometimes feel for those digital PR execs or SEO execs that are working with smaller brands where the expectation is still, we must be in the tier one media, but it's going to, they have to fight a lot harder for their coverage than we probably do.
Right. Now, so when it comes to link building, how do you evaluate quality in links today, especially with AI generated content flooding the web?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hope that Google's algorithm is getting smarter and smarter, but I've been constantly disappointed by Google's algorithm for the last 16, 17 years. Yes. I think that, again, using our primary metric of site traffic, like if the site that we're trying to get a link from is only using AI generated content and it's not been humanized, there's nothing wrong with AI generated content.
Okay.
If you've trained the GPT to produce the content of a higher quality. If you're just going to chat GPT and saying, write me a 500-word blog post on why I should podcast for my SEO business, you're going to get some rubbish coming out. Whereas if you trained the GPT to say, my name is Navneet, I run an SEO agency. I'm also going to start producing a podcast called The Agency Insider Show. I wish to attract these people. I wish it to be produced in this tone of voice. Then you're going to start getting better quality coming out, and that will rank. I actually was very happy when the helpful content update came out because it got rid of a lot of this rubbish that had been put on the internet. And I socialize at many SEO events in Asia, and I saw a lot of people doing very well for themselves off just blindly posting AI written content. I would always speak to them and say, guys, I was here in 2012. We were just doing bookmarks and deliberately manipulating the algorithm. It won't last forever. Of course, none of them believed me because you don't, you make hay when the sun is shining. And then it came. And, I have friends that lost 99% of the traffic, and that traffic isn't coming back. And that's because Google can detect whether it's just AI dross or whether it's actually EEAT powered useful content that the users want. I mean, the front page of Google is Google's real estate. Like, it's not a given that you should be there. It's a privilege to be there. And I think that Google rewards your site with traffic. And that is why that will always be the primary metric for us when we're doing link building.
Right. Now, let's talk a little bit about digital PR. Now, digital PR often overlaps the traditional outreach. So what's your playbook for creating campaigns that earn links and brand visibility?
Yeah, so the way to think about digital PR is you're going to juice the route. So if I'm selling, sorry, stop my phone. The way to think about digital PR is that you're going to juice the route. So you're never going to get a link to your blue jeans page from digital PR, or very, very, very rarely will you get a link to a commercial page. In fact, in the UK, Reach PLC, who are one of the largest publishers in the UK, yesterday announced that it was leaked or it was revealed that they're no longer going to link to commercial pages. Like
Wow.
there has to be a reason for them to link, because they're not stupid. They know why we're giving them all this content for SEO. So
Right.
for me, digital PR has a place, and it's the safest link because it's real world business stuff. Like the question we try and ask internally is, would you be happy that that content was there if there was no link? And the answer should be yes, because if I'm working with a fashion brand and I get
Right.
a piece of coverage in a fashion magazine or on a
Right.
fashion website, I still want that. Like, I still want those readers to find out about me that way. I still want to. With digital PR, we're not just appearing for link building. We're appearing in all of Google's surfaces. So I might be coming up in Google Discover. I could be in Google News. I could be in when I open a new tab on Chrome on my iPhone. There's the market news that I'm in market for. So again, ask yourself the question: why does the link why does the content exist? And would you be happy for it to be there if the link was missing? And if you're producing good surveys, if you're producing good, interesting stories that the
Right.
journalists' readership will be interested in, they'll include the link for you because it makes sense for the link to exist. And it'll be a lot more authority. So I think it's worth doing.
I love the way you defined if the PR, if there is, will you be happy without the links? I'm sure right now most of the people think digital PR is high quality links and not
Oh,
high quality exposure. So there's a difference.
it's big time. And I see this all the time. Whenever I go to events, once upon a time, everyone was a link builder. Now everybody is a digital PR. So, but that's just people are trying to make some money. They're just trying to pay their bills. And if you're a link builder and less people are asking, or if you're a link builder and everybody is saying, do you offer digital PR? Eventually you're going to say yes. And then you're going to
Yes.
figure out how to do it.
Right. Now, now, what are some of the biggest mistakes agency makes in link building? I know one is expecting it's all for links, but what are other big mistakes agencies do, according to you?
Yeah. So if we stay on the focus of digital PR, I think what you've got to remember is that you have a blogger and you have a journalist. The journalist is getting paid anyway by the publication. The blogger owns the site and will publish anything for the right amount of money. So I think that where people are just getting ChatGPT, I'm picking on ChatGPT when I say ChatGPT, when they're using AI to produce 500 words press release, sending it to 5,000 journalists like we used to do for blogger outreach. The journalist isn't daft. There was a journalist in the UK who tweeted a few years ago now, but he's getting one pitch every minute. Like, how are you going to stand out when you're getting 60 emails an hour, effectively trying to sell him something? So, you've got to really work on the titles of your emails to try and stand out. Now, Apple does the AI overview on your phone when it's locked, when the emails come through. What does your pitch say when he sees that or she sees that? Like, you've really got to try and grab their attention. I think that the AI bros killed Harrow. So Harrow is gone. Connectively is gone. Like, it's all just been merged into Cision now. Because effectively the latest cohort, may I say, of digital PR companies are treating it like blogger outreach, where you can just blindly shoot and hope that one hits the target. Whereas I would much rather have a list of 300, 400 journalists across the globe that I know talk about travel or talk about fashion. And that way, when I'm pitching them my clients' ideas or my own ideas, because I do still run my own website, then I know that I'm going to have a higher open rate. And I measure everything. I measure open rates, I measure response rates, I split test titles, I split test first paragraphs. And you really do need to understand that you're pitching a human being that doesn't have to include your content. Like, it's not a given that they will. Like, if you have a blogger that you know is loose with publishing content, right, you know that you can email them and PayPal them $100, and you're probably going to get a link. With a journalist, it's the opposite. Like, why should they use you? Like, your story really needs to be compelling, and sometimes you have to pick up the telephone to speak to the journalist because email is too noisy. Maybe you should use LinkedIn. If you can get their phone number, drop them a LinkedIn message or a WhatsApp message. So, yeah, it's a different game from speaking to bloggers.
Right. Now, many agencies outsource link building due to resource constraint. What red flag should they avoid when choosing a partner?
Yeah, so the link building is resource heavy. I would say that off the top of my head, a couple of red flags if they're only using maybe one metric. So if they're selling you every link will be a DA 50 plus, or every link will be DR 60 plus.
Right.
So what? So what if the link is DA 50? Like, I can show you websites that have been penalized that still have DA 50. So I would be looking at that. I would be looking at if they're trying to match the site theme to your site's theme and making sure that the links are valid and relevant. I would be wanting to potentially speak to the people that are working on the outreach campaigns. Like, we have a head of outreach and we have an outreach team leader in the UK and an outreach team leader in the Philippines. Both of these, all three of these people are available to jump on a client call because we have nothing to hide. Like, why wouldn't we want the client to see the people that are working on their campaigns? I would also say that if the customer or the agency cannot provide case studies with shared URLs, like, I'm more than happy to share a domain that my team has worked on because we are proud of the backlinks that we've built. Whereas if the agency is not willing to be so forthcoming, that should be a very big red flag. And I think that in a way there needs to be, because anybody can pick a successful website and say that I did the link building for this. Like, don't be afraid to ask for references. Like, we have customers that ask for customer information so they can check us out. Like, why would you say no to that if you're doing a good job? So I think the general due diligence, like you would if you were picking a lawyer or if you were picking an accountant or you were picking anything to do with, we are marketeers, it's a professional service. So the procurement process should be as similar as it is for any other professional service.
Okay, and let's talk about, every year if people talk about SEO being dead and SEO being dead. Now, my question is, if SEO were to die as some predict, what would be your pivot strategy?
Well, I mean, I'm quite lucky that I've been doing this for a long time, and they do say that compound interest is one of the wonders of the world. So I think that I would not be going to work in a low-paid job. At the end of the day, I'm a marketing leader. It just so happens that the channel that I market in is search. So we do a lot of PPC as well as SEO. If search disappeared, there would still be a medium or a channel for customers to find suppliers. So we had classified adverts. We had the yellow pages. In the UK, we had something called Loot Magazine, where people can buy and sell stuff, sort of like manual eBay. I think that I would always be a business leader. And I think that if I could go into any business in any sector, and I think I could add value because of the tenacity, because of the multitasking, doing 25 things at once while you're pushing a ball uphill, that being an SEO leader teaches you. So I believe that I would just be a business leader, or probably still a marketing leader, but just in a different channel, because people still need to find stuff. Like we're not, we are not quite at the neural development where I think about it and then it's on my desk. So, but even then, there must be influencing factors that the neural chip looks for. So yeah, I think I'll always just help. I'll just always be a marketing leader.
Okay. Let's talk about a little bit about SEO and business and selling values to clients. Now, many agencies owners struggle to explain SEO value to clients. So what's your approach on it?
Yeah, so different approaches based on different stakeholders. And I think that's where sometimes people get it wrong. If I'm on a call with the head of marketing, the CEO, and the SEO, or the in-house marketing exec, I've got two members of the C-suite and I've got an operator. Maybe the operator wants to know that we're going to screaming frog the site, we're going to do this, we're going to look at schema. The CEO doesn't care how we get from A to Z. Like what the second slide in my presentations when I'm pitching for new work is how much return on investment we're going to generate for them. So first slide is just a holding slide. Second slide, I think I can return £8 for every pound that you invest with me over a 2-year period. That is what they're there for. Like to the CEO and even to the CMO to a certain degree.
Right.
They don't care how many words you will write. They don't care how many links you will build. This is details that don't concern them. Maybe when you've won the work, you can arrange an onboarding call with the client's operations team. Then you can talk about this. Really, what you need to be pitching is the size of the opportunity. How long is it going to take to get to the top? If the top of the opportunity rather than the top of Google, because number one isn't always the goal these days. And then how much resource do they need to put into it? I think if you can answer those 3 questions, they're still listening to you after half an hour. If you spend all of your time talking about title tags and meta descriptions and time of meaningful pain or whatever the technical SEO term for core web vitals is, I don't care about them. My SEO team care about them. The CEO doesn't care about them. His SEO team cares about them. Right. Your job, really, when you're selling SEO into the client, is presenting the size of the opportunity and what it's going to cost to get there.
Okay. Now, you often said SEO and PPC should be best friends. So how do you structure teams to ensure that data sharing and collaboration when it comes to SEO and PPC?
Yeah, one of my pet peeves of agency life is quite often we'll do the SEO and somebody else will do the PPC, or vice versa. We're doing the PPC management and another agency is doing the SEO.
Right.
And the other agency won't speak to us because they think we're going to try and steal the work. Like, the reality is, PPC and SEO, they're playing football in the same field. Like, it's the same piece of real estate. Granted,
Right.
PPC will be quicker but more expensive. PPC has short-term PPC data should be informing long-term SEO strategy. And if you are managing PPC in-house or you are managing it via a different agency to your SEO agency, and you're not having a monthly or at least quarterly all-hands call to share that data, then you're doing it wrong. If you're not running specific retargeting campaigns to drive my non-converting top of the funnel SEO traffic to conversion,
Right.
you're doing it wrong. Like, it kind of goes back to my initial point where really we should be creating things for the purpose of marketing, not for SEO, not for PPC, not for social, not for email. Everything should be coming together into one team. And that one
Right.
team ideally should work coherently together, because ultimately the goal for all of us is to put more money in the virtual till of the client. And it's, it really annoys me when we work with somebody and they're like, oh, the PPC agency won't share the dashboards, or this is the client's data. If the client wishes to share that data with me so I can create more informed opinions,
right,
why wouldn't you? Like, we should be making collaborative Looker Studio dashboards that look at the blended conversion path. Because a lot of the time now, conversion, it's 5 or 6 touch points across different channels. And just telling you that you rank number 1 for the search term blue jeans is not the insight that we should be selling into our clients.
Right. Now, when pitching to C-suite executives, what's the best way to connect SEO to revenue? Is it what you called as, I'll give you returns, 8 pounds to 1 pound, or is there another better methodology which you use?
Yeah, so a lot of the time it depends on the knowledge of the C-suite. So we work with a few tech companies that have a very knowledgeable C-suite, and probably some of them will know, now their managers or their directors maybe less so, but 10 years ago they will have known as much about SEO as we did 10 years ago. I think that the using monetary values helps people understand it. I think that one thing that we've started doing is looking at, let's say you're ranking in position 6 and your biggest competitor is ranking in position 1 for a search term. And let's say that search term is searched 10,000 times per month. Well, we can say that in position 1, you will get on average 20% click-through. In position 6, you will get on average 3% click-through. So from the 10,000 searches, the person in position 1 is maybe getting 2,000 visits. You are getting maybe 60 visits. So just try and put it into numbers that they understand. Very simple single data point graphs help. Sometimes I think in SEO, we think the more complicated the slide, the more insight we're giving.
Yes.
Whereas really what the C-suite want to know is, I start paying you on day 1. When do I get my money back? Like that, that is literally what they want to know. So we find that, presenting very clear roadmaps, we create a lot of Gantt charts for what will be happening when, so that they've got micro goals. So if by the end of month 1, we will have this done, this done, this done, this will mean And this will mean could be that we now have solid foundations on which to grow. That this means doesn't have to be we'll be millionaires next year. It just needs to give them a goal that they understand that progress is happening. Because a lot of the time they have to report to their bosses. Oh, I see we paid the SEO agency $15,000 this month. Oh, yeah, I know exactly what they're doing. We're up to here. We're expected to be here. It's just communication and having empathy for the meetings that they have to take this data to.
Right. Now, so how can agencies differentiate themselves in a crowded SEO market, especially in today's world?
Well, the easiest one to do is to niche down. So I have good friends that run legal marketing agencies where they're only working with lawyers and solicitors and legal software companies. So I think it's earlier in the podcast, I mentioned that we have to market our customers' business.
Right.
So I think niching down is something that whilst we don't outwardly niche down, we have a lot of customers in consumer fashion and makeup and beauty. So we find that when we're talking about it, we can talk in a lot more knowledgeable way because we're used to working in that industry. You could even niche down in terms of the service offering that you do. So there are still digital PR agencies. There are still technical SEO agencies.
Right.
There are agencies that specialize in SEO on the edge and server-side stuff that I don't understand. So I'm not going to pretend that this is my area of expertise. So I think that being a generalist is not going to cut the mustard really these days. And, you know, this is where the case studies come in, I guess. If you've got a case study for 3 fashion brands on your website, you're more likely to attract more fashion brands. So I think that the answer really is just that niching part.
Now, how does
Americans?
I come across a lot of legacy SEO companies who've been running for years. How do you think niching down somebody who's run an SEO agency for 10, 12 years, how do you, is that going to actually work for them?
That's up to them. I mean, they have to, you could argue that if you're not niching down, maybe you have to pedal 3 times as fast to win the work. Because when we take a sales approach with our agency, we consider that we're telling our agency story. And our agency story is we build our own software. We build our own SOPs. We have our own back office functions. We have accessible staff. We have experience in this niche. We are doing this, we are doing that. This is our core competence, but we can also do this. It just makes a story a lot easier to tell. Whereas if your story as an SEO agency is, oh yeah, we're doing what we've been doing for the last 15 years and we know it works. If I was working in-house, I'd be like, do these guys not change? Like, are they not like adapting to the changing environment that Google presents to us? So I think that they can still make, okay, another side of that coin. I like to work with people that know what they're doing. So a lot of our clients have internal SEO resource. A lot of our clients have CMOs or head of marketing directors that actually understand the channel and understand SEO. So you can't pull the wool over their eyes. But there will be many businesses out there that have a more simplistic C-suite that you can easily convince them that this is the right strategy, and they wouldn't know otherwise. So they're not the businesses that will rise to the top as in the digital era, though. So I would be bored speaking to them in the sales process. I can normally tell quite quickly whether we would get on with a prospect, because we will test their knowledge as much as they test ours.
Okay, and for smaller agencies, managing both SEO and PPC in-house is tough. So what's your take on strategic outsourcing?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't do it to the level that you need to do it, outsource it. Like, find an expert. Like, I'm not a tax expert, so I use my accountant. If I find myself in legal trouble,
Right.
I go to my lawyers. So if you're working in-house and the industry is shifting very quickly, or you're interested in, from a PPC perspective, maybe you're used to doing the basic campaigns and now you're interested in learning about PMAX and how the black box can help you grow, hire a consultant. You don't have to hire a full agency service. Maybe you just need to hire a fractional head of PPC for 1 day a month to just come in and help skill up your team. Like, we are always learning in this job. And I regularly say to my own staff, there's nothing wrong with saying I don't know, because stuff changes every week in what we're doing. It would be impossible to be on top of everything. But you know what? Now that I understand that I need to know this for your campaign, I'm going to go away. I'm going to watch some YouTube videos. I'm going to read some X threads. I'm going to ask a few of my industry peers. And this time next week, I will be in a much better place to offer you an opinion on how I believe that this is going to affect your business. That is a legitimate answer in what we do. So don't be afraid to go and hire people in to help you.
Okay, now you have built and sold agencies. What's your number one advice for owners aiming to scale sustainably?
Yeah, so I'm very much a big believer in big company thinking. So even when there's only 5 or 6 of you, imagine what it would be like when there was 50 or 60 of you. Do you have the processes? Do you have the journey for the staff to go through and maintain the talent? Get your accountants to set up the company structure so that you can gift shares to key employees. Try and remove yourself, and this is my biggest struggle with agency life, and it still is today. Try and remove yourself from the sales process, because as the business owner, if you are the bottleneck, like, nobody in your business should be the bottleneck for anything. There should be 2 people that can do every job. Every task should be written down or a Loom video so that you can see how to do it. The phrase we use in English isn't very nice, but if you were hit by a bus tomorrow, like, you know, what would happen to you? What would happen to your business? And if the answer is that it would collapse, then you don't really have a saleable asset.
Right.
So I think keeping that big business thinking and strategic processes and having a succession plan from day one. If you're looking to exit, now remember that success doesn't necessarily have to be an exit. Success could be running a very lucrative lifestyle business. So don't always think that you have to exit.
Right. Now, if you could reboot Marketing Signals today, what would you do differently?
Oh, what would I do differently if we started again? If I'm honest with you, not that much. So I'm really happy with the sort of clients that we attract. I'm really happy with my team structure and how I've got the layers of leadership set up. I think that I would probably look at investing in a sales team earlier. Like, I'm only now, even after 17 years, trying to build out a sales team. I think that I would probably have gone to get some external mentoring earlier. So I don't know everything, and I have non-exec directors and business mentors and communities that I pay to be a member of, where I can bounce ideas off people that have walked this path before. I think that if I was to start again, I would probably look at getting that level of assistance from day one, rather than waiting so long before reaching out or realizing your weakness and acting on it.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the 4-day work week and productivity. I saw your post, which got more than 500,000 likes.
Yeah.
I said, what, is that real? But it is, right?
100% it's real. I think 38 million impressions we had on that.
Wow. I remember liking it, of course, when it came.
Good.
Right. Now you introduced a 4-day work week at Marketing Signals. What was the motivation behind this?
Okay, so in the 1920s, Henry Ford delivered the concept of the weekend. So people used to work 6 days a week. Because of mechanization and the factory production line, Henry Ford realized that he could get the same output from his team in 5 days as he could in 6 days. By giving them an extra day off, gave them more leisure time. Having more leisure time meant he sold more cars because people needed to get around now that they're not in work. That, for me, was the 6 days to the 5-day working week was the culmination of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
We are in the beginning of the technological revolution, where technology is making us work smarter, not harder. So I genuinely believe that I can get, well, I've been doing it for 2 years now, so I know that it works. I get the same output from my team working 4 focused days than many businesses get from their team working 5 days where they're not working for 2 hours a day. Like, the reality of work is that you will make the task fit the time scale you're given to complete it. Now, I think the fact that we're fully remote helps.
Right.
Because, as an example, 10 minutes before we began this podcast, I went to make myself a coffee. Because I work from home, I only had to make 1 coffee. So it only takes me as long as the coffee machine will spit the coffee out for me. If I'm working in an office and I'm sat around a table with 6 or 7 colleagues and somebody sees I'm going to go and make some tea, oh, can you make me a cup? Oh, can you make... All of a sudden, it's taken 1 hour for somebody to make the drinks for the table. So this lost productivity that comes from the workplace, when you start to add it up, it becomes a lot across the course of a week or a month. Now, we looked at what we were getting from our team on a 5-day week, and even though they would be in the office virtual or remote, so let's say the virtual office, for 40 hours.
Right.
The reality is we were only tracking 32 hours of productivity, really, because people will get tired, people will have household chores that they must do. Maybe they need to go to the doctors or the dentist. So we decided that I think it can be done in 4 days, but the sacrifice or the trade-off is that you have to work harder for the 4 days. But the reward is you get an extra 4 days per month free time to do what you want. Go volunteer, create a side hustle, play PlayStation. I don't mind. I would rather they were doing something productive than playing PlayStation, but that's got nothing to do with me. And the second reason why, or maybe the business reason why we looked at implementing the 4-day week, the agency landscape is very competitive in terms of winning clients, but also in terms of attracting and retaining talent within your agency. So we were looking at ways that we can stand out. We all get paid well anyway. So it's not like we can say, have an extra few pounds, have an extra few $1,000s a year. We're all paid well because we're good at our job. What we actually decided is that to attract the new talent and retain our existing talent, we're going to give a better balance. So we don't do overtime. It is kind of frowned upon if you're answering Slack or emails on your down day, like what you're doing. Like, if anything, it makes me think that you mustn't have been working hard enough in the 4 days because you're having to do some work on the 5th day. because I know how much work that everybody has got on, and we all agree. In fact, my next call after this is that we're going to do the resource planning for next month, so that we know that we have. So although they must track 32 hours, we only actually track 25 hours of billable time, and they have 7 hours per week of internal resource. So we know how much time we've got from our team, and we know how much work we've sold on a monthly basis. So, yeah, but I think the recruitment and retention is definitely a key thing with our 4-day week.
Okay, now how do you rewire workflows to maintain client results when it comes to 4 days work week?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of our team are what you might consider to be a back office function. So they don't have client contact on a monthly basis. Maybe they're given the job of, you must produce 4 blog posts, or you must produce 8 PR links, or there are targets that they must hit. So whether they do this work at 6 a.m., 12 p.m., or 6 p.m. doesn't make any difference to my customer base.
Right.
For the client contact employees, so we always have 2 people that can do every job within our business. So one team will work Monday to Thursday, the other team will work Tuesday to Friday. So we have 5 days coverage from our teams. It's just that the only Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the complete team is at work, so to speak. So yeah, we just sat down, we had to think about it. We totally understand that. I mean, we run PPC campaigns that change every day.
Yes.
The client couldn't contact me on a Friday and say, we have a big offer going live on Saturday, can you check? And nobody responds. Like, we have to have 5-day coverage for our customers, but that doesn't mean that it's the staff have to provide 5-day coverage. And this is, again, just down to SOPs and knowledge sharing and that handover from your to your colleague on the Thursday evening. And yeah, it works for us.
Okay. Now, time management is critical in agencies. What tool or framework do you use to prioritize high impact tasks versus busy work?
Yeah, so everything is measured and managed. So that goes without saying. We use a software tool called Teamwork to track our time against projects. Every task is assigned a time period, and we track against that on a monthly basis. Of course, it's not always perfect. I remember the days of when I was making websites, and I would make a change on the server and nothing happens for 1 hour, 2 hours. You can change DNS records on a domain, nothing happens for 24 hours. So we're not like very, very rigid. We're just very rigid. So I think that breaking down the task into chunks of the elements that make up the complete task, and then splitting that across the team, and then seeing how long. I think sometimes where we try and get more productivity out of our team is making them aware that their colleague cannot do their job until you have done your job. So now you are holding up the whole machine is waiting for you to do your job. And that gives the pressure that you don't want to let your teammates down. So hopefully that gets them working quicker. But at the same time, I'll be honest, Navneet, when we take on a new employee, 20% of them don't make it past 3 or 6 months because they can't handle this way of working. Like it's very self-managed, it's very measured. It's hard. It's we achieve a lot in those 4 days. And it's down to the time management techniques that we've implemented that we managed to get it done. Now, on a personal level, how do I manage my time? I'm actually a big believer in something called the Pomodoro technique. Okay. So we could talk about this for hours, but the the concept is, so it's from the 1980s, so it's not like some kind of modern, newfangled thing. But effectively, I work for 25 minutes and then I take a 5-minute break. I work for 25 minutes, I take a 5-minute break. Every couple of hours, I'll take half an hour break. And the way my mind works, and this works for me, it won't work for everyone, is like sprints. So like I will time block that 25 minutes. In this 25 minutes, I must do this. And then I'll just get it done.
Right.
Without thinking, I'll just get it done. And then I'll take a 5-minute break, go make a coffee, stretch my legs, walk upstairs because I work in my basement. Then come down and I already know the next 25-minute task. And then I'll get through it. And then after 2 hours, I'll go and get some fresh air. Maybe I'll go to the shop. Maybe I'll have my lunch, and just keep that process going. That way, your Pomodoro mixed with time blocking, so that you know exactly what you're going to do on every hour of the day. I believe that is the way to do it.
Okay, now any advice for agency owner who are hesitant to implement such changes?
If you don't, somebody else will, and your staff will go and work with them. Like we're intelligent people. Like we're not like, trust your staff, measure the tasks, measure their output. Like if you are measuring your team on attendance, you're tracking the wrong data points. I measure my team on output. So I know that if I'm measuring output, I'm going to be a lot more. Just because I'm sat at my desk from 9 till 6 doesn't mean, like, I could be watching reels all day. I could be like doom scrolling TikTok. Whereas as long as you've thought about it, read some of the podcasts that I've already done on 4-day week and the implementation challenges that we've had, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to share my opinion on how the challenges that we've faced. Right. Hire a consultant. It won't be me. I have a busy enough job already, but hire a consultant that can help you implement these changes. And I promise you that you'll see better output and more loyalty from your team.
Okay. Now, all right, Gareth, let's wrap up with some quick fire questions, and you're just going to answer first thing that comes in your mind. Are you ready?
Of course.
Okay, one SEO myth you want to debunk.
It's dead. It's not dead. People are always going to be looking for stuff.
Favorite tool for link building?
Ooh, BuzzStream, because I can see who opened my emails and which email title worked.
Okay, and the best piece of business advice you have ever received?
Always be selling. Just because you're busy today doesn't mean you'll be busy tomorrow. 3 customers cancel in a month and your team is broken. So yeah, always be selling. Okay,
one book or podcast you would recommend?
Other than the Agency Insider Show, if I'm honest with you, I don't listen to or read business podcasts or books. I prefer to remove my brain from business, and I listen to a lot of history podcasts because it just helps me balance my work brain to my still learning, but not about work.
Okay. What's next for Marketing Signals?
Hopefully more of the same, but hopefully also sort this sales team out, get ourselves some above organic growth. Like we grow organically because we're good at our jobs, but it would be good to maybe add 50% more revenue over the next sort of financial periods. And one day maybe exit or join with a bigger business. I mean, I'm only in my mid-40s, so I think I've got a few years of work left yet. But I would love to work with another talented agency that we merge and come together and we can do some great things together.
All right. This has been an insightful conversation, Gareth, and thanks for sharing your wisdom on SEO, link building, and productivity, and of course, running an agency. Before we wrap up, any final piece of advice for agencies wanting to thrive in 2025?
Yeah, always be learning. Don't think you know everything. And if unsure, get external help. Like, there's no point you doing it badly where for a couple of $1,000 you can get an expert in that will train your team on how to do it right.
Right. For everyone listening, if you find this valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the Agency Insider Show. And if you are an agency owner looking to scale your SEO services through white label solutions, reach out to us at Page Traffic. Gareth, one final question. Where can our listeners connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Gareth Hoyle. You can Google my name. I'd like to think I'm the main person on the front page of Google, or Facebook, or email. If you can't find me, I've done my job wrong and you shouldn't be in this job.
All right. Awesome. Thanks again, Gareth. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. And once again, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Navneet. Good to be here.
See you next time.